I had been hiring photographers to do things for me. So I knew what I was looking for, but I also knew what was missing. And so
Mm.
being on both sides of the camera, if you will, I could see how can I get other women to feel a certain way to get the right
Yeah.
images they need.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Fast Forward podcast. I'm so excited to continue the Power series where I'll be describing and really sharing insights on the ways that we can both gain and leverage power in our professional and personal lives. I have a special guest today. I'm very excited for you all to hear from this person because if you like any time that you've seen almost any photo of me, you love her because she is my personal photographer, but I would also consider her a friend and an advisor. She is an amazing brand designer, brand specialist, and just an incredible founder. I wanted her to spend some time talking about the power of visibility because the work that she does to create experiences for people to be seen in both their professional and personal lives is second to none. So I'm honored to introduce Mrs. RaQuita Weathers. Please tell us a little bit about you and tell us something fun that we should know to kick the conversation off.
Okay, first of all, hello and welcome everyone. Thank you, Kaylin, for having me. So a couple of fun things about me. Some people know this. I'm a twin. So if you see me professionally, you might see her, you might see me. I don't know.
Let me make a note about that. Every time I see your twin is something,
Mm.
when you post it, I'll be like, dang, she do got a twin. Like it never, I don't know why it doesn't stick, but y'all, they look just alike. They literally, to me, I don't know if they're fraternal or identical. I never asked, but they literally look like the same person. Just
We're
FYI.
identical though. Like we look alike. We just keep our hair different. So, but I appreciate that. Uh,
Yes, absolutely. So, one of the reasons why I wanted us to have this conversation is because I know that I have a very specific like worldview and lens as a founder, especially because I am divorced but single and been single for a long time and I'm child free. And I'm always fascinated about what it looks like to show up as a leader and a founder when you are a mom and you have a family and you're a wife. And so I wanted to make sure that as I brought on guests, I brought on people who would have an experience that is unique to mine, but I know that reflects so many of the listeners who are out there. And so a part of that visibility is you, Rakita, of course, being visible. So how do you decide how you want to show up as a wife, a mom, and a founder and a creative? Because those are four very different roles, but I feel like you blend them seamlessly. So can you tell us a little bit about what that visibility means to you and how do you choose how you want to show up?
First off, there's no choice. I just show up as I am. And so there are times where you come to a shoot, you may see one of the kids. Rarely gonna see them both. You may see one, and he has deemed himself my assistant. So my assistant, when he's on set with me, he is there to help me. Usually he's helping me by being on his tablet or something. But if mommy needs something, he will jump in front of my video camera and like just make sure it's working. Okay. He's going to be seen. But seriously, whether anything that I'm doing, I'm honestly my authentic self. You're gonna get
Yeah.
the white Rakita, you're gonna get to see mom Rakita, because sometimes my husband might pop in on one of these virtual meetings or calls that I'm in.
Yes.
And sometimes you might get his 2 cents. If that's a bad idea, he gonna let me know. If it's great, I don't hear nothing. But if it's bad, he like, I don't know about that. So anyhow, and then as the creative and all the things, I'm a creative 24/7, all
Yeah.
day, every day, in everything I'm doing. Creative route, getting to work, like all the things.
Yes. Yes. And we've been on calls when we was en route.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am. You gotta get creative on how to keep the little one quiet just while trying to take a phone call in the car. Like it's woo, it's going.
Y'all, her daughter is hilarious. Like she is in charge of the girls, and that's all I gotta say
She
about
is.
that. Just
She is.
FYI.
So, to be honest, honestly, I just show up as myself,
Yeah.
everything I'm doing, and that's the only way. Because it's not a turn. It's hard to turn off these pieces of me, if you will. So it
Mhm.
I can't just switch it and just be like, I'm only the photographer, Rakita. Because guess what? These kids will show up. My husband will call. Like, I will get a call in the middle of the shoot, like, are you coming home yet? So it's just like
Yeah.
it's a bit difficult to say. It's not necessarily like code switching, but like hat switching. I'm
Yeah.
honestly seamlessly all these things all the time. So that's honestly the way how I show up. You get to know, you're gonna know I'm a mom. You're gonna know I'm a wife. Cause trust me, like I said, my husband's gonna call. He's gonna check in. And then in terms of the work, anything that I'm working on, as you know, from working with me, I'm gonna give my creative 2 cents on it. I'm gonna advise. I won't let you just do something to do it. It has to make sense to me, and I want to make sure that it makes sense to you and to your audience or whoever's going to receive it. So you're going to get all those elements of me 24/7.
I love that. I think one thing that I enjoy so much about you is that you allow all the parts of your life to be present. Um, I try not to judge, but I'll be honest, when folks have whole aspects of their lives and you never know it exists, to me, to me, it feels like it would probably be kind of lonely and isolating. And I get, especially for privacy concerns, because people be crazy and out of pocket. So you don't always want things to be hyper visible. But I love that you have integrated all of those parts of your life into your story. I think it helps your clients, and I know I've had this experience too. It helps me to show up fully too. So y'all, Rakita and I, we probably had like 8 photo shoots, maybe 9 or something like that by now. And you got different outfits and stuff because I have multiple business ventures. But I'll let her know, like, oh girl, wait a minute, hold on. I think this is a dating profile photo and stuff. Right. Those are things that I'm comfortable sharing with Rakita because she gets it. Because she already know, like, oh, okay, no, we'll pose like this. We'll just make this slight shift. We're gonna get 5 photos that you could use on LinkedIn or these other profiles and sites. But this one gonna be for Hinge, right? This one gonna be for Bumble. And that's important because it helps me feel comfortable fully showing up. I feel like I always have the right image. And I've said this so many times, but I have a picture for everything. And especially as a black woman, and then adding being a dark skinned black woman, and then adding on being a plus size dark skinned black woman, visibility has been something that honestly throughout my life has been a struggle. And so through the work that I've done with Rakita, it has helped me feel so much more confident and excited to be visible and to show up. So now my question to you, Rakita, is how have you intentionally created that type of relationship with your clients? I feel like it's baked into your brand, but is it something that you did on purpose and worked on, or how did that evolve over the course of your founder journey?
Yeah. So an interesting fact about me, and I'll mention this on set, okay? I've got my creative start. I can even tell you the name Belle Rouge. It came from my dance background. So I used to teach women how to feel sexy and confident. So when they look at themselves in the mirror, that you feel sensual and that you're embracing your full self. So that it's not about you being sexy for your partner or whoever. It was about you feeling confident in yourself. And so
Yeah.
I bought a camera specifically to record this tutorial, this dance tutorial, so my clients could do this at home and not be in the studio, right? Or on the dance floor. And
Hmm.
when I bought my camera, I was like, I gotta do something with this. I had this hustler mindset at the time. And I was like, I'm about to start taking pictures. Let me get a few people out here, do a few free shoots. I can be affordable. I could do this. I could be the me for other people. And I did, and
Yeah.
people like, you actually have an eye for this. I'm not knowing. I'm just shooting because I need to make some more money, okay? And then I learned actually I'm good at this. I actually really enjoy it. And the women I'm working with, they love this. I love it. And so I was taking the skill from one area of my life, bringing it into another. And honestly, I had my son at this point. So he's maybe a year
Yeah.
old. I'm like, this isn't going to work. I can't keep juggling these two things, photography and dance.
Mhm.
And I saw more longevity, honestly, in the photography space. And so that's
Yeah.
what, and I put 10 toes down and I just hunkered down into this one space. And this is where I've been operating for the last 6 years. So, and it's working and I love it. I have grown in this. And so this is how I'm able to actually pour back into my clients because I've been on the other side. I had been hiring photographers to do things for me. So I knew what I was looking for, but I also knew what was missing. And
Mm.
so being on both sides of the camera, if you will, I could see how can I get other women to feel a certain way to get the right images they need. Make sure they're thinking of everything that they need. Because you can have anybody point and shoot a camera. You can get grandma, you can get your son, your whoever. You can get anybody to point and shoot a camera. But it's another thing to actually creatively direct, to actually pose, to give you comfort. Because that's another thing. You can work with a lot. You've done this, you know. You can work with people. Doesn't mean you're gonna
I
get
was trying not to be messy. I'm like, girl, watch your face, watch your face. What she said, watch your face. Yes, correct.
I'm gonna speak from my experience, okay? I'll do it like
Yeah,
I have worked with people, and then it's just you're like, dang, but was I cute? Did I get it?
yeah,
Oh, why am I posing like this? Or you can be like,
yeah,
why am I? What is it? How is this gonna translate to my audience? Why are we doing certain stuff? You know what I mean?
yeah.
If you don't understand, you just don't understand it. So I can just say it.
No, this is so important because I hear like two different directions. We're gonna take both of them real quick, two detours, because I heard really four elements there. So it's the comfort, the posing, the creative direction, and the quality of the actual photography. You nail all four. And I know from my own experience of taking pictures over the course of my time as a founder, I can see where one of the four or two or more of the four was not there. Right? There have been some photos where the lighting was dope. The photographer caught the right spot. It was like, oh, this is a dope venue. But I didn't see any of my personality. There was no creative direction. I've had photos where there was great creative direction, the quality of the photos was great, but the retouching was terrible and it made my skin tone look washed out. And I explained earlier, like it's very important for me for my skin tone to come through, for the richness of the colors I wear, all these things come through. And I could tell that they had someone editing the photos that didn't understand that the posing piece is so important, right? So as a woman who is apple shaped, right, there are parts of my body where if I sit certain ways, even on this, like I try to be conscious. Or if I'm sitting certain ways or do certain things, it's gonna make my body look a certain way. So all four of those elements are so important. If you had to pick one that you felt was the hardest for you to perfect, which would that be? And then if you had to pick one that is your favorite to share with clients, what would that
Hardest to perfect. Okay, so honestly, I think comfort probably could have been like not to. I don't think that it was hard to perfect, but in some areas, not everyone is going to come to a shoot being confident, right? Like it takes some time.
be?
Like say
Like,
if I were teaching, after a couple, you coming on that first class, you might be, oh no, I'm doing this, and then by class three, you're a whole nother person. There's more of
yeah,
this time to warm up, and for you to just
yeah,
like to get the vibes, right? However, in a photo shoot, let's say we're having a mini session, and I know my mini's not really a mini, but like this 45-minute window, if we're working
yeah,
together in this 45-minute window, you may not have that long to come out of your shell. So in the beginning, when I was it was solely based on just time, if you will. I was still learning ins and outs, and there was a lot to learn in the first few years. That's a fact. So in that, making sure that people felt the way they needed to feel, being able to show them, hey, look at this. It's one thing, to your point, taking dope pictures. You learn over time through the creative direction. This is another thing too. I think it's like all the things. You learn as you perfect your craft, what works, what doesn't work. Because again, I think so many people can take a dope photo, right? It could be so amazing, but then I honestly like to know, and you can overshoot. That's the other thing. You can take all
Yes.
these pictures. You done took 200 and 300, 400 pictures, and
Yes.
then what you gonna do with all those pictures?
Mm,
That's great, but am I able to put this on the cover of my book? Am I able to put this on my
yes.
website to express to someone that, hey, I help people? Like, just because I took a dope photo doesn't mean it's going to resonate with the person I'm trying to reach. So, those were areas that I've learned over the years. Okay, I'm such a purposeful photographer. At least I feel I am, when it comes to working with
You are
clients. Again, if you just want somebody to take pretty pictures, that's so sweet. I thank you for thinking of me. I may not honestly take the job though, because it
right.
depends on what you're booking. Because when you book a branding
Yeah.
session with me, it's an investment. And before you spend all this money, do you have brand color? I don't want you to do all this and have to reshoot again in 3 months because you didn't have this part figured out. So,
Girl, I be feeling the same way about me with my client. Yes, is yes. Because when you care about your work, you care about what happens after you play your part. And I think that's the difference between a partner in whatever it is that you're doing and somebody who's just in it.
yeah,
My clients know whether I'm doing diversity and inclusion work, coaching work, HR work. I could just go train anywhere. I could go coach anywhere. I could give you a handout and email you the name of a framework, some OD framework to use. I care about you doing this. Like I have clients, it could be years later, and they'll hit me up out the blue and be like, "Hey, what was the name of da 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 again?" And I respond like, "I care about you making the most of what we've invested." And people who are committed to the integrity of their work, they care about the adoption and the application, not just the execution of what they do. And I think when I think about your work, because as you were talking, I was smiling. And even in the post editing of this, I think I'm gonna try to do like a montage of some of my favorite photos of yours so people could see what I mean by this. Because I have literally been able to go back to some of our first shoots. Even I'm looking because it's in my office, some of the shots from my birthday shoot, which had nothing to do with this, y'all. Like it's not professional at all technically. It's like me in a sheer dress, like doing my thug thizzle. And I still use those photos for things to this day. As long as the hair color is the hair color I got, if it's a blonde moment or if it's a copper moment, like I can grab any of those photos. And I think that that's so important. So if there are creatives that are out there, and really any job requires a level of creativity because you have a finance background in part two. I don't know if you want to mention that. We ain't got to touch it if you don't want to, but
absolutely, it is.
everything requires creativity. And so I caution everyone to check your motives for what you're creating because the things that we love the most, when you think about music that's 100 years old, art that's 200 years old. I'm reading a book now called 10x is better than 2x, and he opens the book talking about um is it Michelangelo? I think I think it's Michelangelo, but one of the famous Italian sculptors, we're still talking about this person's work like what 500, 600 years later, right? These long gaps of time, but that is because what people poured into what they were creating was an extension of their heart partnering with the client's needs. And you can always tell the difference between those two things. When somebody just did something to do it, and when somebody really put their heart into it with the end and beyond in mind. All right, so last question before we get out of here. What is the greatest compliment that we can pay you as a creative to boost your own visibility?
I love this question. I think that is an amazing question. Quite honestly, I think the best compliment to your photographer, um, your partner, and your visibility, it would be to honestly to credit us, to share, hey, I worked with beverage photography on this. A simple tag can go so far, on a post. Maybe you're not plastering that all over your LinkedIn, but when you're in publication, just give the proper photography credit. I think that for us, like the paid marketing thing is not like let me just say, running ads. I don't find that to be a great marketing strategy
I
for
haven't started that either.
for my business
I haven't.
because you're attracting all kind of people. You know what I mean? And it's not necessarily your ideal client. Anyone can see an ad and what they're looking for, a special if they see an ad, right? Whereas my ideal client, they're honestly, they're like the people I work with. And so honestly, a lot of my business has come strictly from referral marketing, word of mouth. Like you telling a colleague and that colleague coming to work with me. Because if you're in association with them, they're probably like you in some way.
Yeah.
So you're gonna recommend another person in your particular space. They're gonna come to me. Like you understand that?
I like that.
And
Yes.
so
And it's funny because I don't always think of the tag. And I think in part is because you got me rethinking how I'm doing my posts. But anyway, keep going. Yes, I love this.
But honestly, like
Yeah.
again, who you're associated with, they're usually in some way like you. They may be an
Yeah.
entrepreneur or they may be in the corporate space. They may be a professional. So then that
Yeah.
way your audience is probably my target audience. So
Mm.
because I don't post, let's say if I took a lot of birthday shoots, right? Then if I
Mhm.
have a person that's posting mostly birthday content and such, they're gonna send people to me that are looking for birthdays. You understand? Whereas that's not something I'm gonna promote. You're gonna see the branding, you're gonna see what I want you to see. So even if somebody
Yeah.
probably did tag me, I'm probably not gonna repost the birthday shoot because that's not what I'm trying to attract. I can take
Yeah.
great photos, however, you're not gonna always see it on the website or on
Yeah.
social media, for example. But the best thing you could do if for someone is looking for something else that I might shoot, like I said, you may recommend me. So the referral, that's honestly the best gift or
I,
compliment.
I like that. I like that. And that's got, like I said, that has me thinking because I think sometimes I'm shy to tag people in things because I don't want them to feel like I'm spamming them. But when I think about it, other people sometimes are shy to ask me about the photographer or even the hairstylist or who did my makeup because they feel the same way. It's like, she gonna think I'm trying to be weird. And I'm like, no, of course I want you to ask me because I want to share the people that I work with. So yeah, the tag I think is a would be an easy but also a good passive way to get more traffic through to the creatives I work with. Because again, people are seeing these photos and stuff all the time.
Right. And you may
Okay.
not do it on
It's some aha moments trickling in.
every single post, but at least when you drop let's say we just did a new shoot, that
Yeah,
the first two or three photos, put on there
yeah,
like, hey, my creative team, and that's usually the proper way
yeah,
to do a tag would be the photographer or if there's a videographer, your hair
yeah,
and makeup, you would tag them. So then, because we know it took a team to get this finished product. So even my job as photographer, when I'm posting, it's rude of me not to tag if I know who they are. Like if I know who your makeup artist was, or if I know who did your hair, as a creative, I know we get our work from through really through tags and referrals. Because when I see this photo, if I see a dope photo, it don't have to even be by me. If I see something nice, the first thing I look for is the tag, whether I touch the picture and see if it's tagged on the photo or in the caption.
yeah.
I want to know who did it, who took it, because I might want this, or her hair. Oh my gosh, her hair is so amazing. I want to know who's her hairstylist. So
Okay.
I might not always DM that person because then people are like, well, why are you asking? Some people don't like to share that way, or people
Yeah.
may not want to be approached. So if you just put the tag, you can bypass that.
I like that too because we do live in Atlanta and people will steal other people's work, act like they did it. They did not do that. And so at least if people can refer back to a source,
Exactly.
they know who the appropriate credit should go to. And especially when things start going viral and things like that. Yeah, you're so right. It is okay. Again, you got me thinking. I'm talking slow because there's some thoughts coming to my head of some ways to leverage this. So y'all might end up seeing something special this fall around that. But I
Ooh.
get to that later. All right. Last but certainly not least, what is up next for you? What can we expect? What can we look forward to? And how can we partner with you?
Oh, girl. What's coming next? I'm almost like a little nervous. Do I say this yet?
No,
You said no?
I said no. I
Ooh,
said I know. I ain't gonna listen because I
yeah.
got my own. By the time this airs, my big debut is gonna be out. But I already know what time it is. Good. I ain't gonna say
Well,
it,
I'll just
but I ain't gonna
I'll
say
say
not
this.
say it.
We are growing. Belarus photography is growing. I'm growing. RaQuita Weathers is growing. So you're going to see some new developments from
Mhm.
my company. I'll just say that. So I can say that we're expanding. I'm not
Yes.
going to even go further into that. However, we're growing. We're having more offerings. So in 2025, we are going to look different than we are in 2024. I'll say that. But ways to reach me, ways to connect with me and work with me. Everything is at Belle Rouge Photography. So on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, just at Belle Rouge Photography. That's BELLEROUGE Photography. Okay. Um,
Help the
in the web,
people. I was like, let me be quiet during this spelling
I
bee.
have to put the E out there because I hear Bella and I'm like, it's spelled right there. But I hear you, honey.
Listen, everybody wasn't no spelling champion, so you sometimes you got to help the folks.
And one
You got
site,
you got to help folks.
everything is Belle Rouge Photography. All right. So pretty simple. Um, currently, let's say that.
Again, I ain't gonna put your business out there, but just know y'all, I am so excited for the developments that are happening. And when I was thinking of guests, like Rakita was one of the first people because again, I can't stress enough how important it is to be seen. And especially coming out of the pandemic and folks are like emerging back into the world, we are rediscovering third spaces and what it means to build community and what it means to have folks around us and not be isolated, whether physically or mentally. Understanding what visibility means is critical. So I truly, truly hope that you all found some nuggets of wisdom, some aha moments, maybe even a little bit of conviction about some things through this conversation today. As always, I've enjoyed having you all as viewers, and feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Drop your thoughts and questions in the comments, and I will catch you on the next episode of the Fast Forward podcast. Thank you so much, Rakita, and thank you to everyone. See y'all.